All right, so we're back here.
Sorry.
We're back with Nate Helming. Things are getting awkward.
Continue.
We're talking about running mechanics, and I'm a doofus of a runner. Can you say that? Is that inappropriate? I don't know.
Doofus.
But I'm a little bit of a doofus when it comes to running. I don't look very coordinated. But with Nate's teachings, he's helped me. Yeah, I'm a little stiff up top. My neck is, I feel like a turtle, like just hiding, and I just can't run very well. But when I relax and let myself go, everything's pretty cool. So we talked about hips in the previous video. Now I want to talk about the importance of upper body. The arm swing is almost as important as how we move our feet. And what have you kind of discovered, and what do you teach when it comes to the arm swing?
Yeah. Well, I got to mess around with the arm swing a little bit in our freestyle seminar, and we actually used it as a cool intro for the pistol. Right, one of those cool little like secret ideas in the pistol that people don't always think about as much. And the way we introduced this drill was just to test what our arm swing does. We actually remove the arm swing altogether, and we see actually how hard running is when we don't swing our arms at all. So that was that stable arm drill. Once again, something that I learned through pose running, through CrossFit Endurance with Brian McKenzie.
We do love you a lot. We do love you a lot. We're just trying to be the new generation, dude. All right, anyway, so continue on. Tell us about the stable arm drill, and what does the stable arm drill mean to you? And maybe tell us what the stable arm drill is for those that don't know what you're talking about.
If it doesn't mean anything to you, what is the stable arm drill?
You can turn the video off now.
So we have to swing our arms as runners, right? And we naturally swing contralaterally is the geeked out term, right? Where we naturally cross our arms and our legs this way, right? We're never walking this way. It just would look kind of weird.
That's right. That'd be weird.
Unless we were like entering like an old saloon with our boots.
That makes sense. That makes sense. I was watching Back to the Future 2 and 3 yesterday because it was Back to the Future Day. So if you're watching this, that's what
Hoverboard?
happened.
Do you have your hoverboard yet?
I don't, but I want it.
I ordered mine on Amazon.
Cool.
One-click shipping.
Nice. So tell us more about walking into a saloon and actually looking like a human being where you're contralaterally moving your arms and legs.
So with running, we always talk about this idea of being very, very still and very, very quiet. We're always trying to be very quiet in the upper body, but when you really look at it, running has a ton of rotation. There's a ton of rotation occurring in the body. And in fact, the rotation is between the upper and the lower body all the time.
Someone would say, sorry for interrupting, but someone would
course.
say that, no, there's no rotation, you should be as stable as possible.
They'd probably be stroking their beard if they had one. They say, wait a minute.
Yes. So tell us about this rotation. There's rotation, but do we see rotation? Is that how we're supposed to go?
It's almost the absence of rotation. And the way that I thought about this was like, wait a minute, there's good forms of rotation and there's not so good forms of rotation, right? So
cool.
think about like a boxer. A boxer doesn't just punch like this. There's something where there's a load with the hip and then the extension, that
like
core
throwing.
to extremity movement, throwing, tennis, golf. And then I was like, wait a minute, in endurance sports it happens as well, swimming. Swimming is a real hip-driven sport. I'm not gonna get very far if I just pull with my arms. There's some drive with the hips connected with the arms that all of a sudden this goes a little bit more.
Right.
And then I noticed with running that there's a little tick with the hips that occurs. And that every time this leg goes back into extension, right? Every time this leg goes back, there's actually this moment where the whole hip wants to open up this way. So the rotation with running, the purpose with that arm is to resist that rotation. This is when this leg swings back, this arm swings forward to keep my upper body square. So it was like, there's rotation, but you don't see it. The upper body is quiet while the hips are rotating massively underneath the body.
So you maybe see a little bit of rotation. If you pay attention to the abs, you see the abs kind of crossing around, right?
When those obliques.
Yeah, the obliques, when you're ripped out of your mind, you're just like, chack, 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 right? But ideally, you should be as stable as possible. You don't want to bounce up and down. You don't want to rotate around. You just want to be super stable.
Super stable.
So this drill of the stable arm drill is really a drill dedicated to what then?
It's developed towards creating that type of stability. And this is things that really kind of hit my head, hit my brain when we started talking about pistols. And you started talking about unilateral loading. And I'm like, Carl, who the hell says unilateral loading? What the hell does that mean?
I do.
I don't even know. I never heard that before in my life. And I had been a running coach for a long time. It was like, I don't know.
Too geeked out. My mom
terms.
would not understand. I always say that my mom would not understand. So what is this?
But once I understood
loading?
this with the pistol, a lot of times people collapse in the pistol because they'd be on one leg, and then all of a sudden they go down and their whole hip and their knee would cave in this way. And they start to see this, they start to almost spin away, and that's why they had a hard time. And what you were teaching them to do, and what I realized, was to resist that rotation by exaggerating that rotation a little bit in the other way. This wound up the hip, it drove that knee out, so it was almost like pushing my knees out in a squat. One of the ways that I like to teach it now is say, how do I push my knee out on one leg?
Right.
I can't do it, right? But it has to be done with the upper body. And I realized that the pistol, because there's so much greater range of motion, is really the exaggeration of all the little mini pistols I take every time I run.
Totally. So each step is a partial squat.
Partial squat.
And that partial squat is done with one leg. And anytime you stand on one leg, you need to be able to resist the rotation that occurs if we weren't putting any muscular tone around our body. So we would basically spin off if we stood on one leg, right?
Didn't have it.
So that's what we're doing. We're resisting rotation, and now you're using the arms to do that. So the stable arm drill, back to that.
Going back to that, I know we're looping around to
we're
get
getting there,
we're
guys.
Just building excitement and tension.
You know, people get very impatient, you know?
They really do.
Yeah, so just give them the
So
sauce.
let's give them the stuff. So when I run, I just start here. My arms naturally go back and forth. I don't even think about it.
Yeah.
So the stable arm drill is first. It's gonna bring my arms straight out. And I'm gonna try to not let my arms bounce. Notice that when I'm a little loose, my arms are gonna bounce
Side to
back
side,
and forth.
yeah.
I wanna tighten everything up. All of a sudden, if I haven't gone to the bathroom earlier,
Yeah, you may have to poop.
you may have to poop now.
Okay.
Right? And I
Little
do
poopy
that,
pants.
run a little bit, and then I bring my arms together.
Uh-huh.
And then I really try to minimize how much rotation occurs. And when I've played with this drill, I noticed a few things. When I start to take my arm swing away, it takes my ability to resist this rotation away, and all of a sudden I take these little mini choppy steps. My legs actually can't extend anymore. So it's kind of a cool thing. I realized that when runners get stiff here,
Tighten up like me.
they're actually limiting their ability to resist rotation, which means that they're taking speed away off the table. They can't get hip extension anymore. So our arm swing always matches our legs. The bigger and faster we run, the bigger strides we end up getting after that cadence is nice and high, and the arm swings have to match. But as soon as I get tired and I lose my posture, for example, my arms tighten up, and then basically I'm doing this drill, and then all of a sudden I see a decrease in my legs. So it's kind of weird.
A decrease in steps.
A decrease in my steps.
range.
In my range.
Okay, cool.
So it's kind of weird. For some people, they're too loose and their body twists a lot. They're just very disengaged. They're not awake. Imagine
like Robert Toller would say, the rock 'em, sock 'em.
Exactly.
Right?
They swing across.
Yeah.
So this drill is a great way to kind of get people with some kind of tension and support here. So all of a sudden they feel like, oh yeah, I'm running from here. This is great. I'm much more dialed in. But there's some people who are way too stiff, right? They run like robots, and this sort of shows them that they actually need some flow with their arms. They need to get those arms swinging. When they have that, they get that natural fluidity, that grace.
Okay, so are you saying that if we work on the stable arm drill, it will help us resist rotation and therefore improve our arm swing, or is that something else that we need to work on?
It's going to be both. It's going to resist rotation, and it's going to resist the right amount of rotation.
Nice. That was very well said. Very well said.
I was saving that for the end.
Awesome. So why do we have this long conversation, guys? Because we care. We care about movement. We care about running. We care about every discipline. And if we understand these concepts that come from the specialist, here, Nate Helming, the man, then it starts making sense. And once again, we didn't invent this, we're just talking about it. There's so many people out there that know so much about these concepts, but we need to listen to them and then apply that logic, the theory, the practicality of it into our discipline. And if we do that, we understand. We comprehendos.
Comprehendos.
That's very poor Spanish. Peace out. We're out.